Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday to all of those who celebrate. Some people don't. Some people aren't able to because they work on the weekends. So your Friday might be a Tuesday. I do have a friend who works, I think he works Sundays, and then his days off are Saturday and then Wednesday or something like that. Just so you can have a break up in the middle of the week, which is very smart. To be honest with you, if you have to work a 5-day work week and you work at a job that is a 24/7 kind of job, like a switchboard, like where I worked, having that kind of a schedule seems ideal. Unfortunately, a lot of the people that worked at the switchboard had a 6-day work week. So to be honest, it didn't matter when your break day was, it was still miserable. Because you only got one. Sometimes I mean, there were 3 weeks in a row, one season, where it was cold and flu season and people were sick. So people stayed home because they were sick. So you had to pick up a shift. There can't just be one person manning the switchboard, right? Really? It's too early, isn't it? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. What am I thinking? Yeah. They're talkers. They both like to talk back at you when you talk to them, even though we have no idea what we're saying. Right? Look at Bunny Kick. He's a funny bunny kicker. What are you doing? You want coffee? But yeah, there was a stretch of 3 weeks where I may have worked 4 hours for one shift, but I worked 7 days a week, various shifts because people were sick, and that's just what you did. And when I became a manager, it didn't change. It was all pretty much the same. I was still doing that sort of thing. So normally it was maybe one full entire week and then maybe a day off and then going back in. It was, working a switchboard. Some of the people that have been there for 15, 20 years, 15 years at that point, I think, they were troopers. And it always amazed me, though, because one of the individuals who I enjoyed working with, she had been there for around 10 years. It's not like she had desensitized to anything. If something bad happened or if she had a bad interaction with the caller, it always affected her. And you would think after a certain amount of time working in that kind of environment where every day you get at least 6 or 7 or 8 people that are absolutely terrible in an 8-hour shift, you would think you'd become a little desensitized. It was actually pretty interesting to watch a lot of the interactions between some of the operators and the people that came in. Some of them just, one of my dearest friends, who's still my dearest friend to this day, he would sit there and play Plants vs. Zombies all day while answering phone calls. And he had been there for long enough, and he'd been there to the point where he could just go to the computer, because all of our greetings were pre-recorded. Hospital operator, this is Matt. That was pre-recorded because you would basically say it several thousand times a day otherwise. So you would have that pre-recorded message. So that's one thing, mundane thing you don't have to worry about. But it was always just, I need this, 1 minute, or 1 moment, and then you would just type in, usually with just one hand, because he had the other hand with the zombie. And he would just go up, type, hit enter, and send. So, I mean, and that's just the way you had to be working at that place. Now, they did have times when it was more focused, where they had to do a lot of hard searching, and they were able to break away from what he was doing, which again, Plants vs. Zombies, to go in and do what needed to be done. And that was just the amount of time he had been there. He was capable of ascertaining, what is, I'm just looking for a doctor's office and I need to get a hold of a physician. It's an emergency. Can you help me? So there were differences. And they were able to tell that. In 4.5 years, I got it after about maybe like 3 or 4 months, but I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it. I'm not embarrassed to say that. It takes an incredibly desensitized individual, regardless of how they react to certain calls at certain times, to be able to fit into that mold and constantly be battered and beaten by people you'll never meet, you'll never know, and somehow you are the most terrible person in the world because you can't connect them directly to a doctor. You have to go through an office. And it's not like we could do anything about that. We only had one number. I don't even know why I'm talking about that. Why am I talking about that? I don't know. Anyway, so yesterday I got all of the information for what was wrong. It was one of the hoses, a significant one, caught it. So, and now they're going to fix it. I'll get the car back on Monday. So I've got my borrowed car, my loaner. But they found it day one, which is amazing. Got the parts ordered. Should be here today maybe, and then today and tomorrow. And they said there's a lot of stuff that they got to take out of there so they can get to it properly and fix it. Which, I believe them. Why not? So the repair is going to be a significant cost. They also found a leak, an oil leak on an engine seal of some sort. So they're able to repair it rather than replace it, saving another couple $1,000s. So, which is good. I'm glad for that. And they also gave me the good news that my brakes are still okay, maybe for another year. So I'm really glad to hear that, because this is going to be a significant cost that's around the same price as getting those brakes replaced would be. So, if I can last another year and a half with brakes, I haven't even ground the coffee yet. Yeah. Go on and on and on, and then you completely miss the point of this entire show, which is to make coffee. So coffee update on the coffee that I had gotten that hasn't even been shipped yet. It's still not been shipped. So I think on Monday I'll be contacting them and asking them what the hell is going on, because at that point it will have been 2 weeks. So, I mean, it's $30. So if it was some sort of scam, it's not like I'm out hundreds of dollars, but that's still aggravating and disappointing. I mean, what a terrible thing, had these really cool flavors, and I guess it could be AI generated stuff. That's going to be the thing now. That's going to be the horrible thing, is that we're going to have to start being far more diligent about seeing stuff online and then actually, because before, that's how I got Bones Coffee. It was a whim buy from a Facebook ad that I saw, And Bones Coffee has commercials. It had a following before I saw that Facebook post, so it had it had a history, and you could go back and see it. And I'm very glad that I kind of did my due diligence, but I may have just screwed the pooch on this one in particular, because I went back and looked at reviews, and to be honest, I see a lot more, this looks so cool, and I don't see any, wow, this tastes amazing. Wow, it shipped very quickly. Wow, it got to my house without any problems. Oops, I went a little too much there, didn't I? So, red flags everywhere. That there are no Expedition Roasters, I think, is who they are on Instagram and Facebook. There are no indications at all that anyone has tasted any of this coffee that they're selling. There are just a lot of oohs and ahs, and boy, I'd like that. And then linking to other people, which is a weird thing that people like to do. They just like to drop someone else's name in the comments, so someone else will come in and look at this and then do the same thing for somebody else. It's really weird. And I'm hoping that it is not a scam. That'd be great. But my timer, I hit the timer like 3 or 4 times and the damn thing still didn't start. Oh well, it's all right. When it's drawdown, you're just dealing with gravity. You're not dealing with timing. Other than the bloom, which I probably went a good 30 seconds for, so it'll be all right. I'm not worried. So here's a question. Here's a funny question. Do you think you are like someone who does something a little off the wall, that is so off the wall you could probably maybe think maybe 100 people in the country do the same thing? My example is a silly one. The past 3 times I have got a loaner car, I have washed it when I got it home. And this time I needed to. I started with a windshield because the windshield was dirty, and I had a hard time seeing it when I was getting on the highway because the sun was just high enough in the sky to where I could bring the visor down, but there was still a reflection on the windshield, and it was really dirty. So I started there, and of course you get a clean spot, and you feel compelled to continue. So I got that clean spot on the windshield, and I'm like, the rest of this is filthy. I have to do it. And then I found a lot of sticky bits, like tape or tar, on the door, on the driver's side door. There were it looked like tape marks, because when cars are delivered, specific parts of the car are covered in film. If you've ever seen a car before it is PDF'd, no, that's a form. There's an acronym for prepping a car to get put in the showroom or get put on the lot. There's a lot of plastic to remove, oils to be checked, fluid to be added, because sometimes they come from the factory depending on where they're sitting, how long they've been sitting, or what car manufacturer they're coming from. Sometimes they don't come with any fluid in them at all. So that has to go to a technician. The technician has to inspect the car, and then they have to add the appropriate amount of fluids. And then all of the film and tape, the covering wheel covers and doors and front ends, because they're on the back of that truck, car hauler. So there's the ones that are on top are subject to debris or bugs or whatnot. So they've got mirror caps covered in plastic. They've got the front ends covered and the hoods covered in plastic, and the doors have film over them, that kind of a thing. So even the rear ends do, because sometimes they add the cars to the car hauler in reverse. So there's a lot of stuff you have to do to prep it when it gets off the truck. And then you have to inspect it for any dings, dents, scratches, that kind of thing, because those will have to go back to the factory or to wherever it came from. Unless they're used cars, then used cars, that's not a thing. That was on the used car manager to inspect before, buying the car. This car, my loaner Porsche Macan T, which is a turboed 4-cylinder, and it feels and sounds like a turboed 4-cylinder. It was a mess. Bird poop on the hood, and it's really strange because I have been a wash bay attendant, so I know the stress and the pressure that is put on people, because it used to be if you had a service appointment, you would get a car wash. Where I worked, it may be different in other places, but where I worked at Nissan, you had your service. When the service was completed, the car was brought around by the technician. You brought it into the wash bay. You had about 5-6 minutes to spot clean and get it as nice and clean on the outside, doing your best that if there were any traces of the technician on the outside of the car, you got it off. Removing any just excess surface dirt, giving it a soaping and then a rinsing, and then quick dry, and then it's put out for the customer to pick up. This is a loaner car, and I think I brought this up a couple times. I feel that it's a showcase vehicle. You've dropped your old 10-year-old car to get service. You're given this brand new car to drive around in for a day or 4, depending on the amount of service that needs done. And technically, this could be your brand new car or something like it. You could order it, or there could be another one on the lot. The one that I have right now has got 2,700 miles on it. So it's a 2024, but it's been, driven. It's been driven all year. So, so I washed it. And, I think that's my, people I talk to about it, or people that see me do it. I know the neighbors had come back and they're like, "Are you washing your loaner car?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." I had I've got some tire remover, so I was able to get the stuff off of the front bumper. There was stuff all over the front bumper. There's stuff all over the driver's side door. It looked like somebody had kind of backed into something. So the fender on the driver's side had, in one of the body lines along the fender, it had stuff all over it. Looked like it had been scraped. The scrape came right off. It was just surface, whatever. So it wasn't a hard impact. The paint wasn't impacted. The clear coat wasn't impacted either, which is great. But yeah, I washed the car. So I'm just wondering, is there anyone else out there who has a quirk where they think that they're one of the very few people that do, such a thing? It doesn't have to be as major as washing a car, but I just wonder about that, because people have rental cars. I've never done it if I've ever had like a Hertz rental car, which I don't think I've had one to the point where I've had it at the house. Now, Matt did because he had his Polestar in for some warranty work. So, but I didn't wash that. Those Hertz rental cars, man, wow. They are beaten, battered, and bruised. And it was like a Toyota RAV4. Somebody had tied something to the roof rack through the windows and around the inside of the car to hold something down. And the strap had been tightened to the point where it actually bent the roof rack a little bit and dented the top of the doors. I don't know how. I don't know if they were using a steel cable. I don't know what they were using. I guess you can do that with maybe Kevlar. I don't know. I don't know. It was really ridiculous. But I didn't wash that because I'm not touching that. That's ridiculous. But this is a Porsche. So, and like I was saying, I know wash bay attendants are just busy. They're just complete. And I know that the wash bay, it's not an automatic car wash at the dealership. It's a hand wash. Because I brought that up the first time. Like, you want a car wash? I'm like, you know what? I don't really. And then they immediately knew why I was like, I don't really want that. They said, well, we hand wash our cars. And I'm like, oh, well then, so do I. Great. And I will say that my car, it was the cleanest after a service I had ever had. I think it was the last time I had just a regular service. It was the cleanest ever. I was so impressed, which is also why it's really strange to me that I got a really dirty car. Now, it could be because the turnover is so fast that they really didn't have time to do anything, which is also pings in my head as weird. I mean, people only want to be there during their hours, so I'm not saying like stay over and wash the cars, but it's just interesting because you think you would designate a time of the day to work on the and then again, if maybe they didn't have a time to do anything with the loaner because the loaner just got back and they're like, we need to send it out again, which is probably why it's got 90 miles worth of gas in it left. They did not refill the gas tank for me. So when I take my trip today, starting this evening, I will have to stop and refill it. So, the Dusk Till Donuts is so good. You really get that raspberry jelly donut taste. And then it's good coffee anyway, but still, the raspberry, it's so good. Today I don't even have anxiety. I'm not anxious. I'm not, definitely not like yesterday, and certainly not like Wednesday. Wednesday was a bad day. But a cup of coffee in the morning doesn't have anything really to do with anxiety. It just has to do with good taste and, something warm when you first wake up. It's nice. It's really nice. Whew. But yeah, if you think of it or get a chance, just something that you think you do, something quirky that you do. It's mundane, but you're like, well, you know what? People would think I'm insane for doing this. And that's probably why I'm like just like one of 100 people in the country that would do something like this. And that's just an exaggeration. You know, that could be thousands of people may bring a loaner home and be like, but then, you know, there are so many more that treat loaner cars like trash and trash them. So, which is really sad because, like I said, it's basically a showcase car for the dealership that they've put you in while they conduct repairs on your car. So, you know, it's basically saying, hey, you know what? You could have something brand new like this. And that's just my mentality. It's just how I think about it. And, you know, if I'm a service bay tech washing cars, I'm not thinking about that at all. I'm just thinking about, I need to get this car out and then I need to get the next one in because they've got schedules all day. And I think at a certain point, they started doing it for oil change cars too. And oil change cars are in and out really quick. Thank you so much for watching today. If you get a chance, you never have to interact. It's always nice to see people watching, but I don't know, just, is there something that you do? Like you bring down home a loaner car and you wash it. Not many people do that, I think. I think it's just a means to an end, and that's the end of it, you know. Or they just don't have time, you know, that kind of a thing. I mean, it started with a dirty windshield, and it just escalated. But I will admit I've done that to the past 3 loaner cars that I've gotten from there. And it's unfortunate that I've had to do it to the past 3 loaner cars that I've gotten there. But I understand the circumstances as to why I may have had to. Because I've been there. I've been a wash bay attendant. And I know the stress. There is stress of that job. It's in, out, in, out, in, out. And, you know, if you miss a spot or, you know, there's a glaring spot on the windshield that they can't see through that you missed, you know, that's a customer complaint, you know. And that feedback goes against the service department. And they don't like that because a lot of their bonuses are based on that thing. So thank you for watching this week. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the pictures of the new Macan EV. I thought that was really cool. It's a really neat contrast to the Polestar 4 pictures that I took. Similar but different architecturally and interior and so on and so forth. Also a lot of similarities because of the EV platform is, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know, wheels are still round. So have a great day. Have a great weekend. We will talk to you next Tuesday and I'll see you later. Get a cup of coffee and relax. Bye.